Hey, what is going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario. As you can see, we're back over at the PSP here. Haven't been here for a little bit, but we're going to be here for a pretty good reason, and that is to get PS1 games converted and playing here on the PSP. Now, this is nothing new by any means, since the PSP is of course so old, but I also have covered this before using the program PSX2PSP. However, we're not going to be doing that here. Instead, we're going to be using a newer program, which is Pop FE from the developer Solberg. Now, I have covered this here specifically for getting PS1 games working on the PS3, but as you can see here, this does work to convert PSX or PS1 disc images for the Vita, the SIO, PS2, PS3, RetroArch, as well as the PlayStation Classic. And I'm remaking this here using Pop FE for a few reasons. One of them is that this is still up to date, it is still regularly maintained and updated here, and there's also additional configurations and fixes that are still going into this for PSP games as they are found. You can go to like PSP configs, for example, and you can see right here that there's plenty of configuration files that are being added in from a bunch of different developers for all sorts of different games. So you might have a little bit better luck with compatibility using Pop FE if you've tried PSX to PSP before and some of your games might not have worked properly. Additionally, this is also compatible for Windows and Linux. Now, I'm going to be covering it on Windows, but for anybody who's going to be following this with Linux, well, it does help out a little bit there. So if that all sounds good, there's a few prerequisites we need to knock out. The first thing is going to be your PSP. You're going to need one of these up and running and working and already modified, as you can see right here, running custom firmware. For this, I'm going to be running the ARC4 custom firmware like you can see right here. It does work for other custom firmwares, but ARC4 is going to be the one that's recommended in the current day, just because like Pop FE, it is kept up to date, it is maintained, and there's some nice newer features that we do have here. If you need to install ARC4 or you need to upgrade to it, I'm going to have videos linked down below in the description. We're also of course going to need a PC on hand to run Pop FE, and we're also going to need that in order to back up and convert our games. So with all that covered here, let's go ahead and move over to the PC side of house and I'll show you what to do. The first thing we're going to need here is Pop FE, or as it says here, the Pop Station Fetcher. Now there is a good README right here. It has a lot of awesome information, so if you have any specific questions or you're curious about the instructions or what formats this does support here, really all of this is covered within the README, or at least a whole lot of it right here. But the first thing you're going to need to do is download Pop FE. In order to do that, scroll up to the top of the GitHub repository, linked down below in the description along with everything else. Go over to the releases section and then download the latest Pop FE UI.zip file. Now a big heads up here, because of how Pop FE works, when you download this, it might flag it within your antivirus. If it does so, you're going to need to go into your antivirus and allow that file to exist on your computer. But just keep it in mind, the file is not malicious, but your computer might not be a fan of Pop FE. This second download here is actually for your PSP itself. It is a plugin called CDDA Enabler, and that is for PS1 games which might have CDDA tracks or really like CD audio tracks on them. They don't typically play on the PSP unless you have this plugin enabled right here. This is optional, but it would be recommended just so you have a better experience. This will also be linked down below in the description, and you can click on the download link right here in order to download that file. I'm going to be backing up my games from disk here, and for this on Windows I use Image Burn. You can go ahead, download the executable for this, and install it like a regular application. And finally, if you're having trouble extracting any of the pieces of software that we downloaded, you can go ahead and download and install 7-zip. It's free and easy enough to use. Once you have everything set up here, you should have Image Burn already installed and ready to go, Pop FE UI.zip, as well as the CDDA enabler if you choose to use that. Now let's go ahead and focus on backing up a game disk. I'll go ahead and show you with one, but if you have multiple game disks, it's going to be pretty similar. Go ahead, install Image Burn, and once it's been installed, you can double click this to open it up. If you've never used this before, you can click on Create Image File from Disk, and since we're going to be using a disk, you will need a disk drive, whether it is a CD drive, a DVD drive, even a Blu-ray drive. You will need that hooked up to your computer, and then you can pop in your disk, and it should populate like this. This here, for example, is disc 1 of Legend of Dragoon. In order to set this up, you can set your read speed to max. This one, even though it's audio, I'm just going to set them both to max. And then from here, you can click on this folder and pick where you want to save your image file. I already have a folder for my PS1 games, but from here, you can choose to name it however you want to. I'm going to choose to keep these the original names, but if you want to change it to something like, I don't know, LOD D1, something like that, that's totally up to you. As for the actual type of format, BenQ should be fine. If you want to change it to something else, you're more than welcome to if you have a reason for it. Otherwise, if you're unsure, just stick to BenQ, that's going to get the job done. From there, go ahead and save wherever you want to save this to. And then once you're ready to rip it over, click on this button and just give it a few minutes to rip over. And here we go. Your disk drive might make a little bit of noise in the background, but as you can see, it is getting up to speed, and within 2 minutes, we're going to have disk 1 backed up. Now, once it completes, it should give you a message like this. You can click on OK. And now if there's any other disks you want to rip, just go ahead and pop in another disk and go through the exact same steps. Rinse and repeat until you're done backing up the disks you want to convert over. Since I've already backed up the other games I want to convert over here, I'm going to close out of image burn. So now with our image burn work out of the way and our PS1 games backed up, as you can see, I have a couple here. I have the discs for Legend of Dragoon, and I also have Nightmare Creatures 2 that I've previously backed up. Once we have all those done, we can go ahead and work on conversions. Let's set up PopFE. In order to do this, find the PopFE UI.zip file, right-click this, use something such as 7-zip, to extract it into its own folder. Once you have that extracted, go ahead and open up the folder, and you're going to see there's several new folders, files, and executables for you to take a look at here. But we are going to be using one of them here, which is going to be PopFE PSP. All you need to do is find this executable and then double click it. And as you can see right here, this is an example of one of the executables that my antivirus does not like. Like I said earlier, if your antivirus caught this, you're going to have to go in there and then restore or allow that file to exist. So here we were able to get it back, and if it does not pop back up, you might just need to re-download and or re-extract the zip file. But either way, let's go ahead and try to fire this up again. Now, when you fire this up, you're going to get this blank black command line window in the background, but you're also going to get this UI right here. This is what we're going to work from, and in the back, it's going to log everything, but we want both of these to be up and running. Now, let me show you what makes PopFE great. For this, we're going to do a single disk conversion first. Go over to your disks section and click on this button right here. You'll need to find where your games that you want to convert are. For this, I'm going to use Nightmare Creatures 2, double click this, and then if you find a image file, for example, this is a Q file, go ahead and open this up. Now it's going to look like it's all frozen, and in the background you could see some information and a few things happening. But you could see without doing anything else, it was able to do all this for us. It got the icon, a couple pictures, the background right here. We can even preview this, change it around if we want to, and there might even be a digital manual right here like you can see. Now if you want to change out any of these, you can just click on these here and you can swap them out, and it really depends on what you want to do. If you don't like any of this, you can go in and you can disable all of these. For example, sound or what have you. Actually I'm not disabling those ones. But if you have any questions about these settings here, you can always check the README. For example, since I talked about CDDA, if you look that up, one of the options here is PSP use CDDA, and it states, with this setting, the PSP EBOOT will be created containing the full CDDA tracks, but no A-Track 3 tracks will be injected. This is helpful for games on the PSP that depend on the CD-ROM to automatically play the next track when the current track ends, which PSP does not do automatically for A-Track 3 audio files. So that's why it is helpful just to have this on hand if there's any questions you have about these different flags. Either way, you can go in, customize this to your heart's content, change any of these settings here. I'm going to keep this all as is, and then you can choose your output directory by clicking on this button. In my PS1 folder, I'm actually going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call it PSX2PSP just to keep those there, and then I'm going to click on select folder. With that all completed, as long as everything looks good, you can click on create EBOOT. Now you're going to see in the background, there's going to be things that start moving, but the actual UI itself is going to appear completely frozen. Don't worry, it's not frozen. You can see in the background, there's stuff happening. Just wait for this to finish up. Now this didn't take all too long, but once it's completed, you should get a message box here saying finish creating EBOOT, and you can click on continue. And once you do that, everything is going to clear out of here. Now you could even look in the background and check this out right here. It goes through the process of everything that it downloaded, everything it set up, and you could see all the information right there. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for a multi-disc game. In order to do that here, we're going to do the exact same thing as before. We're going to find the first disc, click on this button. Going to come back out here, and my example is going to be Legend of Dragoon. Now I didn't change the original working names of the files here, however, you could see here that they're in chronological order, so just from the numbering here, this is disc 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're just going to go in that order. For disc 1, go ahead and find your file, click on open, wait a little bit for it to populate everything, and there we go. Once it all looks good, we can continue on with the other discs. So for disc 2, we're going to click on this, grab the second file. Disk 3, we're going to do the exact same. And finally, disk 4, there we go. So everything has been set up there. We should be all good to go. We have all the names of everything there. And from here, if you want to change the title, manual, sound file, any of these images, you're more than welcome to do that. And again, you can also set your output directory to something else if you want to. I'm going to keep mine the same though. Now everything looks good for this on my end at least, and this is how I want the game to run on my system. So with all that done, we can click on create eboot.pbp. You'll notice in the command prompt window, there's a lot that's happening right there. Just go ahead and let everything process. And just like before, it'll tell us finish creating eboot, click on continue, everything will clear out, and that's it. If there's any other files you want to convert over, feel free to do so, but if you're done, you can click on the exit button here, and it's going to close out of the program. So now the good news is you've been able to take any games that you care about and you've been able to convert them over. In my PSX to PSP folder, you'll see I have Nightmare Creatures 2, and I also have Legend of Dragoon, which you can tell by the size. Now you're at minimum going to need an eboot.pbp file, but if you were able to get a manual for your game, which is optional, you might have a document.dat file. Those are the ones we do care about. The main one we do care about is eboot.pbp since that's the actual game. But either way, we can go ahead and get these transferred over. And there's going to be a couple options here. One of them is going to be just taking your actual memory stick, removing it from the PSP, and hooking it up to your computer using an adapter of some kind. Now, I personally use micro SD cards, so I could just take out my micro SD card, plug it into a micro SD card to USB adapter, and transfer everything over on my computer. Otherwise, if you want to use the PSP itself, grab a USB cable, connect it to your PSP, and then go over to the settings, USB connection, and enable USB connection. Either way is going to work. Once you have your drive recognized on your computer, you could see this here is my PSP's micro SD card. You're going to get these files transferred over. In order to do that, go to the folder you created these games, and we just need to copy and paste these folders over. Now, one last thing you can do, and this is completely up to you. If you want to, you can keep these folder names the same, or you can even rename them. It really doesn't matter here. If you want to rename it, just of course, right click, rename, and you can call this like Legend of Dragoon, really whatever you're wanting to. So I'll have one renamed and one not, but all you need to do in order to transfer these over is highlight both folders, right click, copy. Now go over to your PSP wherever it's been hooked up. You can see here, this is my micro SD card. Double click in here, and if you do not have the following folders, go ahead and create them. The first thing is going to be the PSP folder, which you should have. Go into the PSP folder, now go into your game folder, and right click and paste your games right here. It's going to take a few moments to transfer over, so just go ahead and give that some time. And here we go, now with both games transferred over, we're pretty much done. Now if you want to, there is this CDDA enabler plugin that you can still load in, but like I said, it is optional. If you care about it, go ahead and follow the next step. If you do not care about that, you can come out here, right click, and eject your drive. However, if you're going to continue on with the CDDA enabler, let's get this worked on. Find your CDDA enabler archive, right click, go to 7-zip or whatever extraction software you're using, and extract it out right here. Once you have the CDDA enabler folder, open it up. There's going to be a README right here, which I recommend you open up, give it a good read here, and you can check out the instructions available. It does have these instructions here to set this up, but keep in mind this is for older firmwares such as ME, LME, as well as Pro. If you're going to use any of those ones, that's fine, but you're going to have to use these instructions right here. If you want to see exactly what I'm doing, I'm going to show this on Arc 4, which is slightly different and in my opinion easier. Now the only thing we need is this file right here, which is the CDDA enabler PRX plugin. Right click, copy this file, now go back over to your PSP. I'm going to come over here, and within the root of the drive there should be an SE plugins folder. If you do not have this, go ahead and create it. Once you have an SE plugins folder, double click in there, right click, and paste. Once it's been pasted over, that's all you have to do. There's one more step, but we'll do it on the PSP. Now what we can do is come back out here, and with our games and plugins set up, right click, eject your drive, and take it back over to the PSP. Now at the PSP, let's get that plugin enabled, and if you're using Arc 4 like I'm showing right here, you'll be able to do this directly on the PSP, which is a really nice option. We can go ahead and close out of that, but what we'll need to do is navigate over to the extras column, and the setting you're going to need to launch is the custom launcher. If you have a PSP Street, you're not going to have this column. You'll need to go over to the game column, and they're going to be up here. But either way, since mine's in the extras column, I'm going to navigate over here and open up the custom launcher. You can already see my games loaded up, but we're not going to be playing them just yet. In order to navigate this, press the triangle button and then come over here to the files section and go ahead and enter your files. Now go into SE plugins, and within here, we're going to go down to CDDA enabler.prx. tap the X button on here, or maybe the circle button if you have a Japanese system. But what you want to do is enable this for Pops PS1. We don't need it for anything else because we just need this for our PS1 games. So go ahead, select that, and once it's been enabled, we can now hit the triangle button. We can exit all the way out here, and then exit yet again. And just for good measure, even though we technically just did this here, once we're back at the X and B, you can press the select button to bring up the VSH menu, and then go down to reset VSH, and go ahead and enable that. It's just going to do a little bit of a soft reset in a way, and from there, we should allow our plugin to load in. So now with our games transferred over, well, it's time to actually play them. In order to do that, you can go to the game column, go down to your storage device, load this up here, and you can see that our games have loaded up. You can see Nightmare Creatures 2 is right there, and Legend of Dragoon is also available. Now if you want to launch one of them, just navigate to the game, and launch it like any other title. You're going to have this cool looking screen right here, and you just need to wait as it says. Let's go ahead and give it a few seconds. And here we go, we have the PlayStation logo, so all is good right there. Give it a few more seconds, and once we're in game, we should hopefully be good. And here we go, we got the Konami logo, we got all this. I'm going to skip past some of it. But you can see here that it is loaded up, it is working, and that's all good. Oh, there, we actually have everything in game, so I can go to the, let's just go to the therapy mode, why not? Now, we were able to load in here successfully and actually get some gameplay, but you could see this is probably not the therapy that most people are thinking of, but it is technically a form of therapy. Let's just go ahead and call it that. Oh, can I get a fatality in? Okay, awesome, I was able to get one. Cool. That went on, it's been a while since I played this, so that went on for a lot longer than I expected, but we're here, it's working, thank goodness. So I'm going to say here at this point, I'm done with therapy, so I'm going to bring up the PlayStation button or the home button and go ahead close out of here, just to get back to the X and B. But that's at least the basic way of how you can load up a game and make sure it's working. Now let's say you're wanting to play a multi-disc game. In my example here, well, I end up building out Legend of Dragoon, so let's go ahead and fire this game up as well. We see the exact same thing as before, we get it to boot up, and it should load up just fine. But let's actually get to the disc swapping itself. Now I end up skipping ahead a little bit just to get past the cutscenes and the menus and such and to get in game. I will say this is not going to be a part where we need to swap discs, but we do have the option available and I'll show you all how to use it. Heads up, my menu is going to look different, but the options are going to be the same, and that is because I can reveal something. I've been using a PSTV for this capture. Now in order to access this, you'll just need to press the home or the PS button on your PSP, and when you do that, I have to go to settings, at least go to another option here. You're going to have an option here to switch discs, and what you can do here is go into this, but you're going to see that I can't do it at this time because the game is not prompting for a disc swap. But what you can do is go to this option. When the game prompts you to change discs, you can change over to that disc and then you can continue playing. Although like it says here, even if you want to start the game on a different disc, we can go over to reset game and we can choose which disc we want to start on. So for example, if I have a save on disc 3, I can select that, hit OK, and it will kind of do a little bit of a soft reboot there, but this time around it's going to launch with disc 3 instead of disc 1. So now with all that covered, we're at the end of the tutorial, and with that, hopefully you were able to take some of your favorite PS1 games, use Pop FE to get them converted over to some beautiful EBOOT files right here, which you can now play and take around wherever you take your PSP with you, and now you can have some more fun with one of the best portables out there. Either way, that is about it for this video here. Hopefully you all enjoyed it, hopefully it helped out, and if it did, a like would absolutely be appreciated. If you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too. But as I always say, this is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.